Hi, everyone. My name is Jess Silver. I'm very excited to be part of the Planning for Sustainability presentation today, or for my parts have been recorded as part of the presentation. And I wear a number of hats. My journey to implementation science really started and continues because of my lived experience with cerebral palsy. I'm an individual who was born with cerebral palsy, which is a neurological condition that affects my ability to walk independently and affects my motor function. And it has really given me an appreciation for all of life and some simple tasks that we all take for granted, as well as also more relevant to this presentation, understanding how science and community and working together with professionals and how the patient is part of that community is really important, and how one who's an individual and a PWLE, person with lived experience, needs to advocate for themselves. So as an individual born with cerebral palsy, I was also a patient of Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital, as well as Sick Kids Hospital, and I've seen a number of practitioners and professionals, more than I care to count, throughout my lifetime. And I really felt that as I grew and matured into an adult, that I felt that I had more to offer into the conversation and understanding my condition, and offering to science and to knowledge mobilization. So I was always very interested in how my journey sort of furthered the journey for others individuals. So I moved on to graduating from the University of Chicago in medical writing and editing, um, where I did my graduate degree. And the University of Chicago is one of the most reputable schools in the world for that program. Then I became a researcher at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital, and I also work as a medical writer and editor. Um, while I was at the hospital, and now outside of working at the hospital, and I have a passion for KM, knowledge mobilization and knowledge translation, and really working with practitioners and clinicians and other patients and parents in order to advocate for physical disability, but also understanding how abstracts, for example, and studies affect the actual patient populations that are part of the research, whether indirectly or directly. And because of this background as a researcher and medical writer, I have been fortunate to work with Child Bright for a number of years. I am a PWLE, and I work with Child Bright, the network, through various knowledge mobilization committees, um, including the committee that is, or the group that oversees the JUE project, where Flex for Access, which is my nonprofit organization, which I will discuss, works with Keiko and the team of JUE. And I also am part of the Policy Hub, and I was honored and very excited to work with Celia and ZNAT and this team at Child Bright to do this presentation, and also to work with the larger team on training and educational content. I am also the founder and executive director of a nonprofit organization called Flex for Access, which prioritizes adaptive fitness and sport promotion for individuals who have physical disabilities and injuries. And really, when I think about the words implementation in the context of science, that to me right away is very important, because it speaks to me about how we're actually implementing the science and the different protocols to move results forward. If we can move to the next slide, I would appreciate it. So I wear a number of hats, which are relevant to Child Bright, and there are also the hats I wear on a daily basis as an individual, as a person, not only a researcher and uh, a partner in KM and knowledge mobilization, or someone who works with Child Bright, but I am a wife, a sister, a daughter, friend, and mentor, educator, and advocate who very strongly advocates for cerebral palsy awareness, and advocacy of adaptive fitness and sport promotion and movement and other health and wellness mechanisms for the management of physical disabilities. I'm a PWLE with the Child Bright Network on various KM committees, such as the LAST committee, as well as also the Policy Hub and working with the JUA project. In addition to, as I mentioned earlier, being a medical writer, editor, and founder of Flex for Access. Many have seen me as a mentor to them, whether it's parents or individuals who have physical disabilities and injuries. And many parents have now approached me, and even clinicians have approached me and said, you know, how do you do the work that you do, being an individual who has a physical disability, and one who is a qualified medical writer and editor? Why do you do it? And why do you think that advocacy and knowledge mobilization is important? And the reason is because I believe that through individuals like myself, hopefully changes are made related to research and moving knowledge from simply theoretical knowledge into practice. And I'm also a guest lecturer at universities and colleges as well. We can move to the next slide. So there are a few reflections that I'm going to speak to as part of this presentation. And the first one is, why is sustainability important to me? I kind of just touched on this, but I think that sustainability is really important to me as an individual and PWLE who has lived experience with cerebral palsy, and also a medical writer and editor, and thinking about the fact that through the work that I do and through the concept of sustainability, we as individuals who are PWLEs who have physical disabilities are able to understand that we have something and a network that we can turn to for support and resources when we're navigating through life and across lifespan having a disability. The notion of sustainability within research is not only important to me for a specific research project, but as a whole, how do we sustain knowledge mobilization to move it from theory into practice? So I think that sustainability is most important because we have to think about the longevity of research projects in order to move the theory into practice and to create meaningful change for individuals like myself who live with physical disabilities and other chronic conditions. We can move to the next slide. So in my next reflection here, I believe that it's very important to have a framework or assessment tool in order to guide a research project. And specifically in this presentation, the PSAT framework was discussed. And with my colleagues, I was talking about the importance of having this framework as a tool to guide the research process and research question. But it's important to realize that uh, the assessment tool also furthers our understanding of the research question and the way the system behind how the data is collected for the specific study and how the study is designed. So the framework, such as the PSAT framework, guides the overall structure of the research project and allows for a synthesis of methods that are used within any given project, such as this project or any other project, but it's also important to bear in mind that the methods may change as we're working on a specific project. We can move to the next slide. It's important to reflect on how project results inform a broader impact. So whenever I'm doing any kind of work, I always think about how the work that I'm doing in a given moment is important to a larger, broader context. And specifically for me, I always think about the word impact. So who's on the other end of the work that I'm doing and how are they influenced and how are changes being brought about through the work that I'm doing. Results are important for knowledge mobilization, but it's important to realize that results are only characteristic of one sample of a demographic. So for example, a specific result is a specific result that's quantified for a specific study sample within the study or research project. It's important to develop a more broad scope strategy for knowledge mobilization. And that goes back to the idea of having a broader understanding of what knowledge mobilization and sustainability of research means. Next slide. Can we just, I thought I was also going to be talking about the importance of community. So for me, another aspect of sustainability and research, and why I do the work that I do is because I believe that community is important and the network and having a cohesiveness of professionals and stakeholders that are part of a network like ChildBright is crucial to allowing science implementation science to move forward and projects to move forward and policies to move forward. But even more specifically, having that network and having a sense of community allows one to feel like they're not alone when they're navigating a complex disability like cerebral palsy or other um, complex neurological disabilities or conditions. I think that knowledge and comfort in having a community of support and having the community consistently exist and having science move forward so that individuals like myself who have physical disabilities are not feeling stranded as we age with a disability is increasingly important. And for me, the way that I define my community or what's most important for me is the community that I've built through my nonprofit organization, Flux for Access. And it's when I think about all of the individuals that the nonprofit organization's work is impacting to allow them to be active in fitness and sports settings, having disabilities, that I really recognize the importance of my work. Thank you very much.